Hey guys, what's going on? RetroGamer here, and today we're looking at a couple of the Super Pocket handhelds developed by Hypermegatech. Special thanks to Blaze Entertainment for sending these over for a review. So these little Super Pocket handhelds come pre-installed with a set number of games, and there's 6 different versions, anything from Capcom to Taito, Data East, Neo Geo. There's 6 different ones, and they all come with different games, of course, depending on what brand it is. Like Capcom has Street Fighter and Neo Geo has Fatal Fury, stuff like that. And these are actually pretty cool. They run about $60 each, but the thing about these is it doesn't just come with the pre-installed games and like, that's it, you're done. These have interchangeable cartridges. Now, the ones that these come with, these don't work on the other handhelds. These are just pretty much empty carts just to have in the cartridge slot. But there are tons of Evercade cartridges. These are Evercade compatible. These are really just like cheaper versions of Evercade handhelds. The Evercade handhelds, if they're too expensive or just out of your range, you can get these Super Pocket handhelds and still play tons and tons of Evercade cartridge games. There's like over like 600 or something like that. And this is really cool, and they have things from Tomb Raider collection to the Duke Nukem and other arcade classics and all the kind of stuff. That's what I really like about these Evercade handhelds is they have different cartridges and stuff. And a lot of people think, well, you could just get an Ambernick and load on, arcade games and all these other stuff. Yeah, but like that's just not the point of these. If you're thinking, why don't I just get an Ambernick? Well, you're kind of in the wrong market. This is more, this really heavily leans on like nostalgia, not only for arcade, but I feel like for just cartridge swapping too. Like that's something I really like and also kind of miss. Like emulation is kind of boring nowadays because you can just load on whatever and like you have so many options that you almost just don't want to play anything because like, well, what do I play, But this limits you to where like you really can just pick a cartridge and be like, oh, I want to play this or this, So I really like that about these little handhelds. But the handhelds themselves, they're pretty much perfect. I really like how they're built. The build quality is nice. The screens, they're not like big, but I don't think they're so small either. They're 2.8 inch. The battery life it's gonna be about 4 hours for playtime. Charged on USB-C. Has a headphone jack. You don't really see that too much nowadays, so that's really cool. The only thing I really don't like about these is specifically with Capcom, how it has Street Fighter 2. Well, the L and R buttons on the back, the way they're placed is so awkward. You can see it here. It's just, it is such a bad placement, but the problem is where else are you gonna put them? Because they have a cartridge slot on these things, so it's like, where else are you gonna put them, right? But if you're trying to do like the heavy punch and heavy kick, it does not feel great at all. And like the D-pad, well, I think it's really nice. It's really soft and stuff. It doesn't move the way you want it to. So like when you're trying to do like half circle or like down up down and stuff and trying to do the combos, right? It is significantly harder than a lot of other D-pads I've played with. I've played with a lot of good ones, a lot of bad ones. It's not great, but like if you're not really gonna play Street Fighter 2 or anything, like there is so many other games that you can buy different cartridges and stuff. There's so many different collections and everything. Like that's just a very small problem I feel on the surface when you have so many different Evercade games to play and stuff. I said these come in a lot of different packs. If you don't want the Capcom pack, you can get the Neo Geo pack, or you can get the Taito or the Data East, stuff like that. And so these run about $60 to $70 a piece. But when you just get one, then you can just get a cartridge set for $20, something like that. A lot of them don't run like a super high amount. Like that's just it. Like this is it's niche. I feel like maybe it's a little more niche than Ambernick because with Ambernick you can just load anything you want, right? But this is a different market. If you're looking for an arcade handheld that has a cartridge aspect to it, I think this is really, really cool. I think $60 is a fair price for it, considering that you can just swap out different cartridges and play like that. It's a great throwback for arcade and for a cartridge play like having a Game Boy. I really like these things. Special thanks again to Blaze Entertainment for sending these over for review. These were really cool to check out, and there was no money exchange in the process. They just sent them over, said if I wanted to look at them, I said yeah, and I'm giving you my honest opinion on these. I think they're really cool. Thanks for watching, see you next time.